A driving-focused game, Pacific Drive, comes out next week, so today I will be taking you through everything we know so far about it, and hopefully by the end you'll have an understanding of what the game is about, and if it's for you. So it's going to be releasing on the 22nd of February, it's going to be developed by Ironwood Studios, and is going to be a PC release on Steam and Epic Games, as well as PlayStation 5. There is currently a demo available on Steam if you want to have a go before you buy, and I will be featuring some footage that I recorded from my experience from the demo so you can get an idea of what the gameplay is like as well. And that was all part of Steam's Next Fest, a few games that give out their demos during that event. So the base edition is going to be £24.99, which it approximately translates to $31 or 29 euros. For the deluxe edition, that's going to be £29, which approximately converts to $36 or 34 euros. As for that deluxe edition, what do you get extra? It's just some cosmetics, so you get some additional item pack themes around space exploration, and then you can use that to customize your station wagon. So, Pacific Drive, what exactly is it all about? So, it's a story single-player first-person driving survival game. With your car as your companion, you get to navigate a surreal reimagining of the Pacific Northwest and go up against supernatural dangers when you travel into the Olympic exclusion zone. You get to restore and upgrade your car from an abandoned garage that acts as your home base, and you get to gather resources and investigate what's been left behind in the zone, and you get to scavenge for resources to craft new equipment and configure your wagon how you want, and you get to experiment with different mods and car parts to navigate the world. You also get to unravel the mystery of the Olympic exclusion zone, an abandoned research site in an anomaly-filled version of the Pacific Northwest, and it features an original score by Wilbert Roget, which will feature 20 plus licensed songs. In the game, you can adjust the difficulty, modifiers, and realism for the experience you want. I'll give you 3 examples. So in the difficulty segment, you can toggle your car and player damage on or off. In a modifier, you can toggle infinite fuel on or off, or in terms of realism, you can toggle easy shift or ignition on and off. So it does have some sim-like elements, and I'm going to use that sim-like term lightly. This isn't a simulator, but it has those more authentic realism aspects in the game, and I'll get to a couple of those in a minute. It features 9 game slots, so you don't just have one save, you can have numerous saves or do a repeat save if you so want to. It does have a Simcade-like feel to driving, and it's more those sim elements that I've just mentioned that are authentic to real life elements. What exactly do I mean? It's got things like dual control, so you could use key bindings, or there's a mouse control to kind of select them like it's your hand selecting them like you would do in real life. So there's car controls like activating your lights, your wipers, and obviously there's the mouse for activating your gear stick and your ignition as well. You're not just restricted to your car though, you can get out, you can walk around with the standard sort of controls that you expect, and things like sprinting, crouching, jumping, and there's also a kick function as well, which was useful to interact with the environments. You get to pick up objects and place them on the relevant places, and that's thinking like a little bit like Car Mechanic Simulator if you think about it, but physically picking things up as well when it comes to repairing your car, because that's part of that gameplay loop. It's player controlled getting in and out of your car as well with relevant animations, and you control the gear stick as I said earlier, but this only has 2 states. It has a drive or a park, so it's authentic to a basic level. You get to manage your fuel with refueling via fuel canisters, and your base has different areas that are locked off, so you unlock those through progressing through the game. And you also have to take care of your own health and radiation levels, as we're talking about surreal supernatural anomalies that's happening that isn't so normal. The base also has an unlimited health kit via the first aid box, and you'll be able to craft those as well. I'll mention crafting in a little bit. There is an on-person inventory. There's 4 slots that you can have on hand with you. You will have access to a backpack, which I'll mention in a second as well. There's also this gadget called the Mechanic's Eye that lets you see some additional aspects like your HP, radiation levels, and see how damaged a part is, or scan a part to see what you need to repair it. As I just said, you have access to a bag inventory, and it's a similar style to Escape from Tarkov, so basically prepare to play a bit of Tetris with it, and those items in your inventory can stack on top of each other. In your tab menu, you have an inventory, blueprints, missions, route map, and logbook. Those blueprints tie into the crafting into the game. They will tell you what resources you need to craft each item, and you can pin the list of resources that you need to your screen so you know what to look for, and you find these blueprints. As soon as you've found them, you can then craft them. You can use tools for certain actions like a pry bar to open up things like an old car boot, or for you Americans, the trunk. There is a scrapper that can be used to break down things like resources like an old car parts, which could produce scrap metal. The workbench in your base allows you to craft those items from your resources you've collected, and you can craft things like car parts to repair your car, like doors and bumpers, and other things like first aid kits, a repair putty, mechanics kit, which all have their different uses. For example, the repair putty is what repairs damaged parts that are still intact, and the mechanics kit, for example, can fix things like a loose wheel. All these items do have durability, so they will break or run out, so you will have to craft them or find them in the world in order to get them again. Sometimes you will need to refine materials to get the resources you need. For example, you need to refine scrap metal to produce gear. Your car has its own storage and craft mat, so you can store items in there and craft on the go with your car while you're exploring and driving around. And there's also this arc device, which is basically your GPS when you're going around traveling. And those are the sort of things that you get as you progress through the game to assist you. If you've played the demo, you will know that this is part of that gameplay loop. There's also a route planner, and that displays the different areas you can go to and gives you info on what area has like the danger level or radiation levels. Traveling to locations isn't seamless. It's not a full open world. You drive a little bit before a loading screen is then presented to that area. The loading screens aren't that long. They're very quick. They're very seamless on my machine anyway. You get to also experience different weather conditions along the way, just like rain, and you can find resources by looting structures that are already there or breaking down objects, as I mentioned earlier. For example, breaking down an old broken down car that has no use for anybody else. As for sort of controls, there are keyboard controls that are very well done and nicely refined. That usually when we have games with driving, the keyboard is a bit too twitchy or a bit too sudden, but when I was playing the demo, the sensitivity was good, the input seemed smooth, and I haven't adjusted any settings. This is completely stock, I haven't touched anything, and yeah, it seems very smooth and very nice to do. You could tell I was playing with keyboard and mouse, but it was very smooth and not very twitchy or sudden like I would expect. And of course, you can play with controller if you absolutely want to. And that's about it. That's all we know about Pacific Drive coming next week, and hopefully what you've seen and what I've talked about gives you a good understanding of what this game is about. Remember, you can give the demo a go if you're unsure if it's for you. And that's going to conclude today's video. If you enjoyed it, you found it helpful or informative and like to see more content like this one, make sure you're subscribed. I'd like to know, are you going to be picking up Pacific Drive? Is this sort of your thing, combining driving with survival? Let me know in the comments below. I also feature other racing and simulation content on the channel, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.